there is a couple of our Tennessee universities, need some audio. A couple of our Tennessee universities have been caught trying to skirt around DEI. Now, remember what happened with Belmont University, where you have Andy Ogles, Congressman Andy Ogles, is calling for an investigation into Belmont University, Christian University here in Nashville, because he said that they were trying to basically continue on with DEI policies and just changing the name. And the government has been doing this as well, where it's like Trump comes in and he says no more DEI. And then, of course, what they ultimately do is they just change the wording of the programs, but it's still the same old DEI crap. Well, that was based on some, and I played this a few days ago, so I don't want to redo the Belmont University topic, but that was based on some audio that was recorded, secretly recorded by somebody at Belmont University. They caught some of the folks there at Belmont basically saying, yeah, we're still doing DEI. We just had to change the name. Well, guess who else has been caught? Vanderbilt University and also UT, the University of Tennessee. Did Vanderbilt and UT, get caught admitting that they are still utilizing diversity, equity, and inclusion? And how rampant is this? This is from townhall.com. And this was a report from Town Hall, Fox News as well. Tennessee universities are subverting laws aimed at prohibiting diversity, equity, and inclusion practices on campus. That's right. Tennessee universities are subverting laws aimed at prohibiting diversity, equity, and inclusion practices on campuses. Remember, here in the state legislature, we passed laws the Governor Lee signed that banned these divisive DEI concepts, including a ban on race and gender-based preferences in public higher education and government hiring. It also bans DEI officers and funding, all of that stuff. It's supposed to be gone. Well, from Fox News and Town Hall, an undercover investigation revealed that staff members at the University of Tennessee and Vanderbilt University are rebranding their DEI programs to get around legislation prohibiting these initiatives, according to Fox News. Now, this is a woman named Janet Roberts over at Vanderbilt. She is, and I don't know what any of this means, but a Peabody Facilities Manager, Office of the Dean. Sounds pretty high up, if you will. And here she is talking about Marsha Blackburn.
And we have this one, I think she's a representative.
Good Lord, she's a senator. Marsha Blackburn is a senator, not a representative. That's first off.
And we have this one, I think she's a representative. I just heard that she could run for governor, and I'm going, oh, God, I know, she's ridiculous. Blackburn. Yes, I know. I heard that, and I went, it's a very weird place right there.
So she goes on to say that we are heavily supported by federal funding, so we're not advertising diversity and equity and inclusion lectures, but basically she goes on to talk about how they are hiding their DEI programs.
We're flying under the radar. Honestly.
We're flying under the radar, she says. Did you hear that?
We're flying under the radar. Honestly.
So also at Vanderbilt, a woman named Ivy Carmucci, I think I'm saying her name right, but I really don't know, an academic coach at the Center for Student Well-Being, again at Vanderbilt University. She apparently agrees with this other woman, Janet Roberts, about what is going on at Vanderbilt University. She also says at Vanderbilt University secretly recorded that this whole thing is really more of a cat and mouse game.
So that's why I think the naming has changed, but we're in the Center for Student Well-Being. Like I said, we have things that clue people and let people know that this is a safe space for everybody. The learning communities is like as close to that DEI where you could probably get. Previously, they were the Center for Social Justice. And
so you heard the audio's not great, but so the Center for Social Justice became the Center for Student Well-Being at Vanderbilt University, according to that secret recording. Guy obviously went to Vanderbilt and started talking to folks, and he recorded them basically admitting that, yeah, we're still doing the work of DEI. All we did is change the names of these various programs and departments.
They're doing DEI work.
Yeah.
All right, so that's you don't get much more clear than that.
They're doing DEI work.
Yeah.
And so they're really, from what it sounds like, not making any changes to the goals or the curriculum or the policies of diversity, equity, and inclusion. They are deceptively naming or renaming these departments, and it does sound like everybody knows what's going on. We're still going to do what we do. We're just going to fly under the radar.
They're doing DEI work.
Yeah.
So I would be interested to know, State Senator Jack Johnson, I believe, if I remember correctly, that he was one of the sponsors of the bill here in Tennessee to do this, to ban any kind of DEI work on college campuses here in the state of Tennessee. Here's a little bit more audio.
When I say different, it just looks different now because language has had to change. Students Center for Belonging in Communities is kind of like the DEI.
So again, they say the language had to change, but and the names had to change, but the programs remain the same. By the way, Senator Marsha Blackburn, she has been on this for a while now with these accusations against Vanderbilt University, and Vandy has denied all of this. But this audio, I don't know about you, friends, this audio does feel pretty damning. And don't forget, this is not just about Vandy. It is also about UT, University of Tennessee. Going over some of this audio where you have UT and Vandy, in addition to Belmont, of course, from earlier monologues that I've done, that have been caught basically changing the name of the DEI programs that they had, but these programs have now been outlawed. And what they've done is they've changed the names, but they're still continuing on with these now outlawed DEI policies, according to Town Hall and Fox News. University of Tennessee, they got caught as well as Vanderbilt University. A guy named Will Eaton was caught in a recording obtained by Fox News, basically saying the same thing.
But what we've been having to do is just navigate with reframing things and choice of words and things. In terms of like programming and stuff, we are moving forward with that.
So it sounds to me like what he's saying is we're just moving forward with what we were doing before. And the story points out, instead of calling the programs DEI, they're using monikers such as access and engagement and belonging and community. Because honestly, Joan, who can argue with belonging and community?
So don't you wonder, like all those serious wins that Robbie Starbuck got, are they doing the same things in companies? Is Tractor Supply just calling it belonging now?
Oh, I don't know. That's a great question.
I mean, is this how the entire scene is going, or did they really walk this back?
I will say that in Robbie's case, he caught them so dead to rights. Oh, that was so beautiful the way that he did that.
It was lovely.
And so I believe that he has people inside of these companies. And if they tried to go back to their ways of diversity, equity, and inclusion, I think Robbie would be on them like you've never seen before. So, no, I don't think those companies – I think those companies are terrified of Robbie Starbuck. And I think that those companies are not going back to their DEI ways. And I also think that they realize that this is not 2020. This is 2025.
Yep.
Now, these universities are getting federal funding. And these universities, the entire culture of universities, they all love this DEI stuff, and they will protect it to their dying day. And so I think that if the state legislature, Jack Johnson, Senate Majority Leader, I think if they launch an investigation into whether or not Vandy or UT or perhaps Belmont. I think if they launch an investigation as to, this whole cat and mouse game of, well, what we're going to do, we're going to continue on with these policies. We're just going to call it belonging in community. Was it Michelle Obama's book that was called Belonging? Was it Michelle Obama's book?
Ooh, good question.
You know how the Democrats, I was talking about this earlier, how the Democrats will hijack like words and names and they'll just make it their own?
Yep.
Belonging is another word. Belonging is another word
It's
that these
becoming.
Democrats, it's becoming.
Yes.
Belonging, becoming, whatever.
Be something.
Be something?
That's my name for it.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Just be something.
Yep. By the way, this guy, going back to Will Eaton, this guy over there at UT, he explained, this is from the story, he explained that the school, quote, had to take our current programming and our future programming and make sure that it aligns so that we can do the work that we're trying to do while also catering to the Department of Education. He further suggested using language as a tool for protection to avoid scrutiny from lawmakers. He also spoke about how UT changed their language of the classes and the program to protect DEI.
And they wanted to make sure that access and engagement, which is DEI, could maintain itself, so they changed the language so that the state government couldn't put a magnifying glass on us. It's a chess game. So we had to take our current programming and our future programming and make sure that it aligns so that we can do the work that we're trying to do while also catering to the Department of Education, the federal. You can't argue with the terms access and engagement. So the biggest thing is using language as a tool for protection.
So there you go. Those are the accusations that colleges that are receiving federal funding, they're still doing DEI work. They've just changed the names. Vandy, by the way, you know how much Vandy gets in federal funding? Like $1 billion in research funding.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, listen, I'm not saying, and I said this during the whole debate over the cutting of the funding. I'm not saying that Vandy should lose, all of their research funding. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that they need to adhere to the rules. Vandy knows how much money they get. And so if they're really willing, because Trump will pull it, if they're really willing to risk $1 billion in funding, if the president is threatening to take some of this funding away, if they still adhere to DEI. I mean, you saw what happened at Harvard, right? So with Harvard, Donald Trump did take away their grants, their federal funding. I think he even took away their tax-exempt status at Harvard. So if they want to continue down this road, they are risking a lot. And I think that is absolutely insane. So now, again, the question is, Jack Johnson and the rest of the folks at the state legislature, are they going to investigate whether or not these universities here in the state of Tennessee are still doing these programs related to diversity, equity, and inclusion and just changing the names? Jack Johnson is calling into the radio program, Joan, because if you say somebody's name 3 times on the show,
they appear out of nowhere.
They magically appear on the show. And Senate Majority Leader, State Senator Jack Johnson, is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. All right, so Senator Johnson, you heard me talking about how the accusation is from townhall.com and Fox News that we do have, they say, and I played the audio, Vanderbilt University and also UT, both still utilizing DEI. They've just changed the names, but apparently they still have some of those tenets going on. So what do you do in that kind of a situation? If I remember right, you were the sponsor of the bill. Ultimately, that made it illegal here in the state of Tennessee.
Well, good morning, Dan. You're right. I was proud to sponsor that legislation to make sure that we eradicate any semblance whatsoever of diversity, equity, inclusion in the state of Tennessee through government institutions, and that would include a public university like the University of Tennessee. This particular instance is disturbing. I have spoken with leadership at both Vanderbilt and the University of Tennessee, as I'm sure a number of my colleagues have as well, because we're getting calls from constituents and very concerned about this. Leadership at both of those institutions have told me, and they're telling my colleagues, that this does not represent the views of leadership at those institutions, in each of these instances, and I'm still learning about the details of the video and who it actually was, but it appears to be people that are lower level staffer type people that perhaps don't like the fact that we banned diversity, equity, and inclusion in the state of Tennessee and are trying to find ways around it to still try to implement it. We're not going to accept that in Tennessee. We're not going to have that. I've made that clear to both the leadership at both of those institutions. We expect them to adhere not only to the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law. There will be no DEI in Tennessee.
How do you go about rooting out that kind of a thing? Because, and I don't know, I said the names and who they are, but I don't know the hierarchy of colleges. But I guess my question would be, how do you go about rooting it out? I mean, you can pass laws all you want, but clearly, just like all across the country, colleges are still doing that. Do you work with, the upper echelons of people that run the college? I mean, if you can make yourself clear, but if it's still happening, down below, how do you fight that?
Well, there has to be accountability. And, when you look at an institution like Vanderbilt or the University of Tennessee, and by the way, both great institutions. I mean, they really are, and they're incredibly important to our state and our communities, whether it's Knoxville, Memphis. You've got the UT Medical Center in Memphis. Obviously, Vanderbilt is a really, really important and really, truly a great institution in our community. But they are massive. They are large. They employ thousands of people. And when you have a change in culture, which is what we're trying to do at some of these academic institutions, they have a lot of left-leaning people there who don't agree with people like you and me. They don't agree with the majority of Tennesseans who believe in traditional conservative values. And so it is a culture change. And so it may take some time, but what I expect from the leadership of these institutions is accountability for those people that are employed there. And I want to see, and I think that my colleagues in the General Assembly want to see, and that's why we passed this law to ban diversity and equity and inclusion in the state of Tennessee. We want to see accountability. And if there are people that are trying to push back on that, they have to be held accountable. That may mean that they can no longer work there. There has to be some type of disciplinary action. And again, in these particular instances, I don't know enough about them. We will learn more. But I want to say this. I want your listeners to know that not only the University of Tennessee, but also Vanderbilt, they reached out to me, and I know they're reaching out to others. They are aware of this. They know it's a problem, and they have given us assurances that they're going to deal with it. And I hope that they do, and we will continue discussing it with them.
Belmont University, last question, Senator. I know you've got a lot going on. Belmont University was also accused, again, a situation where it was a secretly recorded video, and basically the same thing. Andy Ogles, the congressman, has called for an investigation into Belmont as well. Does it change because that's a Christian university?
Well, you do have a distinction with regards to state public institutions versus private. University of Tennessee is a public university supported by Tennessee taxpayer dollars. Vanderbilt and Belmont are different, but they're similar in this respect. And this is what I think Congressman Ogles was getting at, is that they do receive federal money, and in some instances they receive some state dollars too through grant type programs. So there is a distinction, but they should still be held accountable because President Trump has issued an executive order relative to those institutions that receive federal dollars and his mandate that they eliminate DEI as well. So it's kind of semantics about who can hold them accountable. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I think Tennesseans agree. We in the General Assembly agree. We do not want the discrimination that comes with diversity, equity, inclusion taking place really at any of our important institutions.
Senator, I really appreciate you coming on the show at the last minute here. So thank you very much. And when this continues to develop, will you come back on and give us an update?
I will be happy to, Dan. I appreciate you reaching out.
All right. State Senator Jack Johnson, the Senate Majority Leader as well. Always great to have him on the program. Joan, do you ever watch The Five? Do you ever watch The Five on Fox News there?
Like daily, yeah.
You do. Okay, I want to notice a couple things. See if you've noticed a couple things.
Okay.
So you've got Jessica Tarlov, who is the lone progressive voice on there. They've got another guy whose name escapes me, who is also a progressive.
Oh, it's the former Tennessee Congressman Hank.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
A nice guy.
My wife loves him. Absolutely loves him.
Harold Ford.
Harold Ford. Thank you.
He's
okay.
really a terrific guy.
He is. I mean, with him, I can forgive his progressive tendencies.
Yes.
So there's two progressives that kind of rotate in and out on the 5 on Fox. You've got Harold Ford and you've got Jessica Tarloff. Have you noticed? Because Amy and I have both noticed that they seem to like Harold Ford a lot more than they like Jessica Tarloff.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so it's not just me.
No.
They just...
No, Jessica Tarloff reminds me a lot of Juan
Williams.
Juan Williams.
Yeah, NPR.
She's always loaded with the latest the PR that gets handed down from the DNC.
Yeah,
she always
you're right.
has it top of mind, and she's always willing to spew it. And Harold he gets it. He sees his party from the 30,000-foot view instead of, seeing all the little things that the DNC puts out.
Harold is sort of like more of a thinking man.
He is.
As opposed to Jessica Tarloff. And I've caught her in lies before. I can't remember. There was one a couple weeks ago you and I talked about.
Yeah.
Where I caught her in a bald-faced lie.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you saw yesterday's The 5. I had like 6 people send this to me. Did you see Greg Gutfeld? He just absolutely obliterated her.
My daughter called in the middle of it. I'm like, I should put my phone on Do Not Disturb. But no, I wasn't able to watch the whole thing, and I heard about this.
Okay, so I'm going to play it for folks.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I think they were talking about Epstein. And, but I mean, the whole Epstein, Obama setting up Trump in 2016, all of these topics are like blending together now. I don't know if you've noticed that. But let's go ahead and just if we could, Sam, let's play that audio.
This is such old news. It's beyond comprehension that we're talking about. And I understand that this Epstein situation is very tricky for the administration. And day by day, it gets worse and worse and worse. But they are pulling out all of the greatest hits to try to inflame the minds of their most, conspiracy theory addled base. So
that
hold on.
So she is about to inflame the mind of one Greg Gutfeld. Go.
Brennan, Clapper, Obama, Hillary, and they get activated, and suddenly they won't be mad at Trump anymore for not releasing the Epstein files or whatever he had to do with any of it. It's preposterous that we were talking about Hillary Clinton's emails again in year 2025.
We spent years on this story. No, let me. We had to take this story seriously for years, and it was false.
It wasn't false.
No. For people to understand what happened, all right? Because the problem with this story is that nobody knows what you're talking about. When Trump won in 2016, the intel community concluded that Russia didn't have a hand in his victory. Instead of accepting the inclusion, Obama determined and wanted a new conclusion. So he sent Brennan running to come up with a new conclusion that there was some kind of trivial involvement that then they could feed out to the media. And coincidentally, dozens of news organizations said that Trump was in bed with Putin and that somehow Brennan knew. Brennan knew. How did he know?
Why
there was no proof. There was no proof. There was no proof.
Why did Durham do nothing then?
But no, let me finish. They amplified a false conclusion that Trump colluded with Russia in 2016. We had to spend years dealing with that. And now we're actually getting investigation, and you're saying, no, you know what? You guys should just move on. You guys should just move. You say the same effing thing about Biden's brain. You guys spent 4 years telling us that Joe Biden was fine. You covered up for an invalid. And then when we get the truth, it's like, oh, you know what? It's time. We got to look forward. We got to start talking about what's there. And you can bring up Epstein all you want. We, unlike Democrats, we can handle 2 things, 3 things, 4 things at once.
Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, no. Have you been listening to the right lately? The right is more on top of Epstein than the Democrats are. Yep. The Democrats never cared about Epstein until they saw a political motivation. The right was into the Epstein story because women were being sex trafficked. We actually cared. But now you're like, ooh, Epstein, a political angle. Ooh, this is fantastic. Save me your selective outrage.
Oh,
wow.
yes.
Just slam dunked on her.
That was perfect.
It was. And that, you know what? That was I guess 2.5 minutes. That didn't feel like 2.5 minutes. It probably felt like an hour to Jessica Tarlov.
Yeah.
So,
They routinely give her the business, and she comes back. The pay must be really good.
Has to be.
Yeah, because they really beat up on her, and they try to do it with a smile.
Not that time.
No.
Actually, what I've noticed is Jesse Waters and Greg Gutfeld both, they just have so little patience for Jessica Tarlov because I think, you hit it right on the head. She talks in talking points, right?
Yeah, she does.
She gets the notice, she gets the facts from the DNC, FAX, which obviously is not a fax, but she gets the talking points from the DNC, and oftentimes she actually has this is what it is. No logic, just talking points.
Yep.
That's what it is with Jessica Tarlov. So anyway, that was fun, and
yeah, it was.
I had so many people send that to me, and I wake up from my afternoon stupor, and I said to Amy, it's like, what in the world happened on the 5? And she's like, oh, I sent it to you.